Right, gentlemen, we are here. We are post-Chelsea. We've got the post-Blues. You may be able to hear, I think Chris has got a little bit of it. We're both in London over the weekend, a little bit of a sniffle, but we're so brave and so tough. We're going to soldier on. Now, we know where we are. We got beaten, unsurprisingly, by Chelsea. We scored a couple of good goals and everything looked uncharacteristically chummy in the garden. But I think we don't need to go on forever about this, and we can just kind of go through the bullet points, if you like, because I think we can kind of sieve this down into specific issues. And the first one, and I think this is the first one that is worth getting out the way, if you like, is the business of these, and I think they're just dummies. They're not all incels. Some of them are fathers of 10, you know. But they come out with this thing of, so we'll just sack another manager. That'll solve everything. And they talk about the futility of the merry-go-round. For me, as I said to you last week, I've fallen out of interest in anything to do with Ange. I think he's a first-class fool. And I think his pressers are particularly dull and circular. It's probably the kindest thing I can say. How do you feel in respect of, because the bookies today, the price dropped, I think it was 4-1. Which is the lowest it's been for him to get the bolito and leave the building with his possessions in a cardboard box. So the idea of the merry-go-round, I don't think it's harmful at all. I think when you have an issue with a manager, you pull the trigger. And for me, I get enormous pleasure from the trigger being pulled because it reflects who has done the hiring. So what do you think of the idea of getting rid of Ange?
I personally would be very much in favour, but prior to us amassing and coming together, the breaking news is that he has Levy's confidence. The players have given their support, and they're all involved trying to turn around the fortunes of the club.
Yeah,
so
I'd read. I would read
vote of no confidence.
I would read that. I would read that as the toaster is plugged in. It's on the side in the ENIC kitchenette, and it's plugged in. It's ready for the big fat Antipodean slice of uselessness to be popped in. It doesn't sound. I mean, this has come from Matt Law, who's obviously got connections with the boys in the press office. But you know, they never tell you the truth. Oh, you know, everything's fine. We're backing him. This is a difficult campaign, difficult seats, and difficult this, difficult the other. And I don't buy into it at all. The reality is he's losing too many games and he's saying the same things. And his options are limited by the players that he has been given. Now, it's all very well saying, yeah, I bought him, mate, and I have nothing wrong with him, fella. But he didn't. He said, okay, as we've discussed at length about Spurs managers. He didn't go out and say, I need Dominic Solanke. That's never happened. So he's reaping the fruits of his own daftness for putting his hands up. And as I've said to you before, this is a guy who's prepared to, in exchange for his career, put his hand up and say, yeah, I signed that guy or this guy, which he didn't, which is nuts.
Well, he's got to go. He's got to go because there's if things keep going the way they have been going, we're so. As we said before, we're so consistently inconsistent.
Yeah,
it's not just that we're consistently inconsistent. It's that we're that little bit of we're inexorably getting dragged further and further down in towards. I'm not saying it's a relegation battle, but one day it's not a relegation battle. 2 games later, it could be a relegation battle. I'm not suggesting that's going to be it, but I just don't see in. Every time you always look for little chinks of light, little bits of silver linings and stuff like that.
Can you say that on the BBC?
I just did. Slivers of light, shall we say? I'm not sure that was any good, but it just to me, I just don't see anything. I don't see anything that says to me, I can see some grassroots of recovery and all these lovely little cliches.
Yeah, there's no positives at all.
It's dull. It's just dire. It's absolutely dire. And even some of the incels are starting to come around and say, God, this is awful. Where people say, oh, it was awful under Conte and Mourinho. Yeah, but they kept us competitive. They kept us competitive as well.
And the win percentages were improved.
Yeah,
that was something that you never heard from those guys. Never.
it's like yesterday. Okay, we had a really good start yesterday. I know we don't want to go into the game in particular, but it was clear once Cucurella had changed his shoes, his football boots,
His ballet
and once
slip-ons.
yeah, exactly. Once he'd done that, and once they'd got to grips with things, as soon as they scored the first goal, you knew that was it. We were done. That was it. You just knew it.
It doesn't help that our players are particularly brain dead and helped our own demise by two complete acts of idiocracy. Both of those penalties.
Idiocracy.
Yeah, but idiocracy.
I spotted another one that after we've recorded yesterday.
The difference between night and day.
Yeah, you said just as night is day. But this is great. Listen, because this is the way that language develops. You only enhance a lexicon by adding to it, and very few. Like we were all cavemen once. We'd sit around a fire, and words and language and discussions would change, and that doesn't really happen. So you are a pioneer.
But getting back to the original point, what on earth was Basuma doing? Who I've got to say is crap, and I'd like to see the back of him. And Papa Sarr, the bloke was running away from him. He was running out of the box. So again, but I suppose in defence to Papa, he was the subject of Section 18 GBH in the first half. He was probably still shaking off the trauma of that bad boy.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pseudo physical hate crime. I think we can best discuss that. But it's just, he's come out himself and said this dreadful sort of Love Island or reality TV line about, oh, I'm really sorry, you haven't seen the best of me. Well, I rather feel that we've seen enough. I mean, I don't wish to be the darkest guy in the world, but call it what it is. And I don't see the excitement from him on a regular basis that we used to see when he was at Brighton, which is probably down to the coach.
Well, I'm just going to say that.
Big thing for me over the weekend was not my favourite man on the planet, but old tour boy Jamie Carragher and his comments, which have never been said better about the complete lack of ambition in Tottenham, their weakness on the pitch, and that we're never going to win anything. And they should sit Levy down and play that to him. Because there you've got a pro who's won a load of things for his playing career, saying what we've all been thinking for many a year.
Yeah, unfortunately, the only thing wrong with that statement is that Levy doesn't take advice from anybody.
No.
And that's where the phrase, I didn't invent it, it invented itself, mother knows best. And a lot of people watching this are a bit in the coconut, and they go, oh yeah, well, degrading towards women. Women have a ton of stuff to offer, but a mother that says, you say why not, and I say, well, I said not. I'm sorry, but those days are gone, and you need to. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't explain to anybody. And if you're worried or concerned about how bent out of shape my view of him is, explain how he sacked Jose Mourinho 6 days before a cup final.
It goes back to what you said the other day as well, Chris, because you made a really good point on the last podcast, I think it was, about brand reputation and the damage to the reputation. I mean, it's tanking now. It's just tanking. I mean, you go on any of the Facebooky or have your say things on the BBC, etc., and it was all there. I just went on there just to see whether it was all going to be what I thought it was, and it was all Spursy this, Spursy that, the whole gamut of all the jokes and everything like that comes out. And it's just like we're a laughing stock to the rest of the world now. Just
to throw it in, and I can't remember her name, and I'm quite proud of that because my brain is like Homer Simpson's, and if I retain information which is utterly irrelevant, I'll forget where I live. I've got to be really careful about the storage. There was an Indian girl, a girl of colour, who appears to be doing some gig as a fan voice on there, and she was talking in the most bland, vanilla terms about, oh, isn't it Spursy and he's a and it was brilliant because a guy I know had done a bit of archaeology through her Twitter account and found all the old tweets with her going effing this Levy, seeing that, just obscenity, and she's clearly brushed up her routine, her stance based upon getting offered that gig. And it's a gig that I did for a short period of time, and I said yes, I will do it for a short period of time, but I don't work for free. If you're good at something, you don't do it for free. Unless it's adopting dogs or something cool like that. And they were paying £25 for an article. Now, that's a £450 4,500 word article. It's a standard sort of blog stuff, and without getting thrown out the magic circle for telling you the value of these things, that's not even 10% of what you should be getting paid. But it is great for SEO purposes because you've got links coming in from the BBC. And on the second season, I said to them, we need to talk about the money. And the guy said, I've had that conversation and they're not able to improve it at the moment. And I said, fine, no problem. Good luck. Because 25 quid to produce an article, which takes my time. And I do like the SEO, and I think the SEO is worth more than 25 quid, but I could just get stuck over the money. Am I having a good time? Is this fun? No, it isn't. Not for 25 quid.
I mean, I saw
so
that.
That's what you've got. So you've got that young girl. You've got that young girl who is churning out this. Oh, isn't it so ridiculous and soppy that we can't do this, and all this heads to be scratched and all this guff, absolute nonsense that she's coming out with. But the truth is, she didn't speak out about the club like that at all, and it was all very sweary, and like many other people on social media.
Well,
so let me throw you another one here. People, this is the other one as well, and there's been some big accounts, which doesn't mean anything, but there's been some big accounts talking about the possible value of January in the January transfer window saving us. And I spotted Lily White Rose, who suffers from being overly enthusiastic about nothing on occasion, and talking about 3 players would rescue us. I mean,
Pele, Maradona, and Franz Beckenbauer.
Well, first we need to go to Argentina. They have a doctor there who has a time machine and some very, very finite screwdrivers. We can rebuild them. I mean, it's just insane, absolutely insane. First of all, that's never happened in the history of the world. Let's just get that out there. That's like saying
time machine travel's not happened.
No, well, it has in some places, obviously, Chris.
So Back to the Future wasn't real.
Not entirely real. I think they egged. They sort of.
Damn it.
Yeah, it was true. I mean, I got caught out by Ghostbusters. I'll have to be honest with you. But the point being,
that's real. That's real. Ghostbusters is real. Definitely.
Well, the first one was the one with all the women in, wasn't? Oh no!
He's off.
You misogynist. But no, the deal with going out and buying 3 players. It's extraordinarily rare that's ever happened. But it's even rarer that one player has made a positive difference to a football team in January. It's just nonsense.
The other 2 factors that I would consider are are you going to trust Ange to buy players when those that you've bought so far have been pretty crap? Anybody who says that Werner was his signing, anybody that says Johnson was his choice, player identification is not great. And the other thing is, do we have any faith or trust whatsoever in Johan Lang, as he seems a complete liability and charlatan to me?
I sense you're on a campaign with this guy. Would it be right to say that his blood is in your water?
100%, yeah.
Yeah, you're like a James Bond piranha type tank, just waiting for Lang to be lowered in.
And to my left, I've got Odd Job.
Odd Job.
Mr. B, do you expect me to talk? No, I expect you to sign someone.
That was you he was talking about, is certainly Tony. I'll just get there before somebody digs me out.
I sort of glossed straight over that, if you noticed.
So one thing I was going to throw into the old mixer is, I think, and I could be wrong, I think that Jed Spence is mounting a little bit of a campaign, and we had the business with Ange being told to bleep off, you fat bleep, at the last game.
I wasn't clear on what those beeps were. Could you just fill the gaps in for me?
Yeah, as soon as we're in the same room, I'll make that very clear to you. In fact, it's a lot of language that we use off air to each other anyway, so I could be leading you in the right direction. But he also had his arm round Sonny's shoulder after the game, and I'm just like, I look at stuff and I overthink everything. So I look at stuff and I think, okay. I don't know how close they are. Maybe they are roomies or something. Maybe they go to, Sabutio tournaments together. Maybe they're really close. But I just thought, yeah. So you're doing that again, getting the photo op in. God, you sound coldified. But at the end of another game, and I wonder if that isn't intentional. I think it's quite clever. For me.
I think so. I think it's that, but I also think he's probably decided that since he's not getting any time on the team, he may as well start up his own therapy and counselling services.
Oh, when's he joining us?
Yeah, I was going to say we could do some of that, couldn't we?
Yeah, I mean the boy looks good. Get him some boots, preferably with non-slip soles on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jed Spence. But the other thing with Ange, and another thing, is this business we saw again, and it's always rinse and repeat with this guy. 2 goals up, everybody's going whoop whoop. The guys that I was drinking with watching the game, when I should have just gone home, I'd had a fantastic time in London, and I should have just gone home. But the guys I was drinking with, they all said, "Be interesting to see how this pans out." And they were just football fans. They weren't Chelsea. They were Sheffield United, and the other one was Birmingham. But they understood football. They spoke about it well. They were great company, and they said there's no pragmatism under Ange. I mean, what does it take to dislodge the stupidity of this? Well, I've got my system, mate, because it isn't flipping working.
Well, again, the players don't help matters. So Romero, just back from injury, why does he decide that he wants to become Johan Cruyff again and try and Cruyff turn his way out of a position and subsequently ping his ACL in his knee? Yeah, and sometimes when there's the opportunity just to put your laces through the ball and for it to hit Rose Ed, we try and play out, lose possession, and you think these people are unable to read the script. They're unable to follow simple ideas, or if there are any ideas they're being told to follow in the first place. It's predictable.
What worried me about Ange's business, because he was asked if he'd brought the defenders back too soon, because obviously there was a kind of late fitness test for both of them. And he said sort of quite emphatically that, oh, no, they got injured, but with a different part of their body. So it wasn't Romero's toe. So that was like, a totally different thing. And as somebody who used to follow race horsing quite confidently, if you had a horse that was injured, no matter what it was, say it's got a broken tail or something, you do not get the tail fixed and then say to yourself, well, that horse is ready to run again. You need to they're very temperamental animals, like footballers, like top flight footballers. You need to get them right, because with an animal at that level, you can put a horse out that's had, a problem with its tail, and it might, in its brain and the rest of its nervous system, cause some problem with its shoulder because it isn't 100% right, because it's an animal. So the levels of naivety that just like ping out of Ange, I find very troubling.
When you surround yourself with morons, guess what? You get moronic advice.
Yeah. I mean, and you made the point the other day about the coaching staff and all those wet blankets in their pale grey get here when I can tracksuit tops and all the rest of it. I don't think there's a brain cell between them. It's a recurring thing. It's a recurring thing with me in life. What's your opinion of that guy? Well, I've got to be honest with you. I think he's an idiot, and therefore, don't bother me with what colour he is. Don't bother me with how good looking he is, or blah, blah, blah. If I think somebody's a moron, that to me drastically affects the scorecard. And I don't see that any of those backroom coaches are at the sufficient required level. And the idea that you've got this grumpy, floor staring, I was big in Japan, mate, character at the head of this cabal of fifth-rate individuals. I'm really not interested in anybody spinning me some toffee about, oh yeah, but he used to be at so-and-so. I'm not interested. They're stupid. And once you hit so far on the stupidometer, for me anyway, other people have different views on the world, but for me, you can't recover that situation, because stupid is as stupid does. And that's why you've got Wyan and him being, possibly the most unqualified coach we've ever seen. But I think the bottom line is that we need somebody to come in who can be a traditional football coach. And mentioned David Moyes, But I don't think anybody's going to take it. I think we're going to be back into this well of sorrow again, where Daniel's doing due diligence on LinkedIn, which got us nowhere last time.
I'd argue your last point, in all defence to Ryan, that actually Nick Montgomery might press him for that accolade. This is the bloke that we brought in from Hibs, who was their first team coach stroke manager and lasted a total of 8 months before he was sacked.
Yeah, you see, that's the problem. You mentioned Hibs. You mentioned Hibs.
You wouldn't touch him. You wouldn't touch him.
Not in a million years. My dad was a Hibs fan, for reference the point to the judge, and you wouldn't. Nothing has come out of that club. It was a boyhood thing for my dad, and Hibs, Easter Road, all that business. But Hibs, I mean, he used to recount them as being the mid-league team, the mid part of the table. So the idea that, and it goes back to the Del Boy thing about this isn't your foreign rubbish. This is from the world leader in alpine ski wear, Fiji. That's like saying, well, this guy isn't a moron. We got him from Hibernian.
Well, I think the fact is he spent 5 years playing at Central Coast Mariners, 2012 to 2017. So again, it's the Australian link that's probably resulted in him arriving at the club.
Yeah,
it's all endemic of the whole thing, though, isn't it? You've got a coach who has
surround yourself.
It's endemic.
Buy cheap crap, buy it twice. Yeah,
it's endemic.
That's what I said. He blagged.
He said you were somewhat loquacious, Tony.
Yeah. In an upside down kind of way.
Who misses?
Not off.
It's symptomatic of what we've got. We've got a manager who's never managed in any sort of decent leagues, and of course, what does he know? He only knows those people who he's been around, and they're all people who have been dealing in leagues that are not any good. So if you surround yourself with the same people of the same types of competency and the same experiences that you got, but none of that was any good, then what is it any wonder we're seeing what we're seeing now?
Well, he was wrapped around Puskás for a few years, but unfortunately, that gentleman
is his taxi driver, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was his appointments coordinator. Very senior position within the club, very, very respected.
Took him to the shops, took him to the off license, got him to the
took him to the betting shops.
Yeah.
Just shocking. So at the risk of trundling through this, what's our Ange prognosis? As I say, the betting markets cut his wings again this morning. I think it's down to 4-1. I got an email from some bunch of charlatans. But clearly that just reflects the message boards and the mood in the camp, and they just want to encourage people to place bets. But I think the task is so great and so beyond him. And as I say, this sort of throwaway line of all we need is ... is ambitious to the point again of stupid. That's the reality. That's the reality. So do you think he'll be here on Christmas Day?
I think he will be. I do not want him to be, but I think he will be. I think his demise will be suffered when we suffer a shock against Tamworth and we actually win that game, and they'll get rid of him after that.
Well, I think having been aware of, rather than pretending to have known Daniel Levy for 25 years, that the ball is currently rolling.
Yeah, he'll be making phone calls in the background, won't he, to see if we were to come to you. I bet Gav Southgate's received a call by now. I bet Potter has. He'll be going round those that are free. It'll
be the usual Daniel Levy shtick. Hello, it's Daniel here. Just wanted to use you as a sounding board. My club looks like a skip fire, and I wondered if you had any thoughts.
So while we're at it, what would your guys' opinions be on Dan Ashworth? Would we be interested in getting him to replace Johan Lang, or he's obviously done a good job in the past with England?
I have no faith in that infrastructure. As I said the other day, LinkedIn hires, they're all about crossing the I's and crossing the I's, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and keeping themselves safe. He probably doesn't have much on Daniel's laptop that could be thrown at him. I'm interested in results. I'm interested in actions, and I'm interested in intelligence. Those are the things that guide us in life. And I don't see anything from any part of this operation, especially Daniel, who contributes to either of those, core tenets of the operation. I mean, we see guys when they're doing a corporate thing, and here's matey, next to a bit of AstroTurf being held up. Don't care. It's absolute junk. Really don't care.
It's a classic example, isn't it? With Livy, is if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got, isn't it? That's a classic thing, and he's never going to change. So we're just really kind of leaping from one disaster to the next. And every now and again he gets lucky, and then when he does get lucky, you have a decent manager like Conte and Mourinho. What does he do? He manages to find a way to completely screw it up.
Yeah. Well, he knows best. That's the problem. He's never ever taken, or visibly taken sage advice from anybody. And we got this absolute claptrap years ago with Rafa van der Vaart being signed at closing time on a transfer window, and that was because Real Madrid wanted to out him.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with Daniel. That's it. Like I said this before about Levy. This is like him winning on a scratch card that he buys. His food and mags and whatever comes to £7.95, and he says to the guy, "I'll give us a £2 scratch card, and I'll give you a £10 note." And then he wins, and then tells you what a fantastic financial advisor he is. The whole thing,
right time.
The whole thing is built on borrowed money. He's, and I have to say, made some exceptional decisions in respect of financial leverage. But if you had lots and lots of money, your success ratio with your decisions you made would exponentially improve. And when it does go wrong, he still gets his bonus because
it raised its head at the weekend that Amanda Staveley and her investment consortium are now looking at Real Madrid because they are guaranteed Champions League football every year. The risk for the investment is considerably reduced. So
well, anybody coming in,
cash back.
Anybody. I think I'm about to die. I think anybody coming into the Spurs thing is absolutely aware that this isn't jumping on the coattails in an obvious sense of Spurs doing really well. This is where you put your money if you are a pension company, where you cannot lose and you get a nice incremental, upswing. And the fans, bless them, many of them, they look at this and they say, "Oh, this guy could put in, wants to put in X billion quid," but that's not going to get spent on players. That's not going to change anything. And this is all written, like as they say in the Far East. This is all written that you will get back your return on your investment will be X, and your net money that you still have in the thing will be Y. And all this nonsense of, oh yeah, brilliant, we can go out and buy, Carlos Kickerball and win the World Cup with him. Just absolute fantasy.
We just have to accept. We have to accept the only solution. We know what the solution is, but that solution involves someone having a shed load of money and coming in and just say to Levy, right, here's 4 or 5 bill, sod off, get the hell out of here. We'll start running the club properly. That's never going to happen. Not in the foreseeable future, because whilst we've got a great infrastructure, anybody who's doing that will want a return on investment. So again, they're going to do exactly the same thing, which is to actually not prioritise the football club, because that's not what will give the majority of the money. It's the portfolio, isn't it? That really does it all.
Yeah, 100%. This isn't exciting or glamorous work that they're in. They're in the weeds. That's where they are. They're looking at the pounds, shillings, and pence. And like I made that comment about Daniel looks at a cup, a girl goes past with a hot dog and a shake, and he says, "Oh, we'll make an extra 17 pence on a box of 400 cups." That's where he is. And that is the financial matrix, or whatever you want to call it, that he's employing and luring in these potential backers. And don't forget, we I'm not picking on anybody here, but we use words like Staveley or whatever. It's not. She's a bag man. This is all from the Middle East. So if you've got something, in your head where gay people being treated badly, being thrown off buildings, where women being treated appallingly because you're dealing with third world medieval values, then this may not be the company for you. You might want to think more than twice about what exactly their role is, because whether you like it or not, that's the reality of where those people come from. But it's all a bit grotty, and the thing for me is I could live with more of it, shall we say. I could be more tolerable. How about that for breaking news? If it was going to genuinely benefit the on-field activities, but I know that it isn't. It's nothing to do with that, and you're going to get something else, because that property is huge. So you got this Formula One go-kart thing that's going to happen. Well, goody gumdrops. They'll come up with something else as well. There'll be like a basketball experience with the MBNA or whatever it is. There'll be a US basketball experience. They'll come up with something that will use the significant real estate they've got there, but it's nothing to do with the football. That's my view, and it's based upon 25 years of watching them. So who have we got next then? Because I don't follow this club.
So we have got.
Is it the FA Cup thing against?
No, we're up north
Rangers,
against Get the Gears on Thursday night, and then Southampton away on Sunday.
Rangers.
Yeah.
Anytime you like, pal.
I'll tell you something. They must be absolutely looking forward to this, because we are right.
Yeah.
We are ripe for the picking right now. We are so low in confidence. So low.
Ex-Celtic manager coming to Ibrox. There'll be a hot atmosphere. They're playing in a Mickey Mouse league, but scoring loads of goals, and they're in form. We're not. It's going to be a cold December's night.
Yeah.
We lack the masculinity, the ambition, the strength, the courage.
They'll probably put
already.
They'll probably put the price of heroin up for the night as well. There's going to be
he'll be 2 for 1.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it's anyways I'm going. I always wanted to try something that would get my teeth into, but
mentally fragile. We're so mentally fragile as well.
Yeah,
we're going to go up
100%.
there, and we will just cave like something that caves very easily.
I'm sure Chris would know exactly the correct adjective for that.
Yeah.
So, did anybody else catch Brennan Johnson going off because he got a hurty finger or something?
I think he snapped his fingernail.
I thought he discombobulated an eyelash. So we wish him well in these turbulent times.
I think it was a fracture.
But it brings me on to this business of injuries due to Hotspur away training, which has been absolutely diabolical.
If you run at a million miles an hour,
yeah,
what do you expect? We are pushing those players. He is really proud of the fact he tries to replicate in-game practice on the training pitch. Why do you think so many people are pulling up with hamstring injuries and things? It's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard.
Again, and this is just reminded me of a conversation I had with one of the lads last night. Race horses, you get the horse ready for the race. So whatever else has been going on in that horse's life, you make sure that when it comes to the ground and it's waiting for the tape to go up, it's in the peak form it can be to do that race. So whether it's a bit of a marathon or it's a sprint, and you make sure it's ready. You don't put a horse into a race where it doesn't have enough miles still left on the clock. If it's done all the miles in the training yards and on the warm-up laps in the paddocks, that horse is coming with 65-70% of its brum brum brum, like a car. And I think that's what Ange's doing. I think he's got players.
You don't win trophies in training.
No. I mean, we had that nonsense from Pochettino, who I was convinced was overtraining players, and then it came out that he did, and they were all mumbling about how mean he was and what have you. But again, it goes back to the stupidity of people. Oh, he's a great manager. Well, no, he's not. He completely flummoxed the European Cup final, played Harry Kane, who should not have played, and has made numerous poor choices beyond that. And this is down to stupidity, absolute stupidity. Which,
you look at other
again,
clubs.
is a characteristic in human beings. Yeah. It doesn't warm to me.
You look
Not
at other
interested in
clubs
the
that are
other stuff.
competitive. Look at other clubs that are competitive. You look at what they're doing, and I know we obviously you don't necessarily always want to compare yourself to other clubs, but if you look at the Liverpools, the Arsenals, and what have you, they've got it together. They train properly. They train well. They're coached. They have a vision. There's a purpose. They're together. You look at I was watching the game, watching the Fulham Arsenal game, and yeah, it was tough. But you could see those Arsenal, as much as we didn't want on Arsenal channel, boy, they were digging in.
Yeah.
They were digging in like there was no tomorrow. They were not going to be denied. And I
But
don't see that with us.
We've watched that with a number of sides, and I would say Aston Villa before the European competition got to them. That they were, when they defended, they were able to defend on a heartbeat, and they had shirts back. And you have to respect that because it's an intelligent way of conducting your business.
But look, Arsenal at set pieces yesterday, they were so innovative at the set pieces. They were trying all sorts of different methodologies at different set pieces. It goes back to what we were saying before, about the lack of preparation, the lack of coaching, the lack of set piece coaching, and that isn't a coincidence that they are where they are and we are where we are, and we are playing the football we are playing, and they are playing the football they are playing.
And what we get,
Tony, one clean sheet in 22 games. That's what our current statistics is. One clean sheet in our last 22 games, and in the last 12 months, we have suffered 19 defeats. And you would say both those stats are damning, and both say that we just do not have the right coaches in play, and we don't actually practice the fundamental basics of defending corners or attacking corners. Apart from Maddison earlier this season, when was the last time we scored a free kick? Most of our offensive free kicks and corners end up on the counter attack with the opposition bearing down on our goal. We're just dreadful at it.
Yeah.
Well, we've become immensely predictable, is what I would say. And so, like again, last night watching the game, and two guys to my left going paching, get 2-0 up in 17 minutes or something.
Yeah,
and they were joking, great game for the neutral and all this. And one of the Sheffield United boys turned around to me. He said, "Yeah, is it going to be like that in another 19 minutes?" And of course, it wasn't, because everybody knows these aren't like my mates that I might get onto this show or whatever. Everybody knows that this guy doesn't have a pragmatic bone in his body. And we get the same drivel from him after the games. Well, it's very disappointing, mate. Yeah.
A mate of mine yesterday was texting me. He was at a football function, and Spurs went 2-0 up, but there was a couple of parents, because he runs like a under 9s football team,
right?
And he had a couple of parents there, and then both Spurs supporters, and they were all giving it large when we were 2-0 up. So he turned around and said, "Right, I'll tell you what, I'll bet you 20 quid that they will lose this." And they both lumped on in it, and within 15 minutes that had turned around, didn't it? And it's just like, that's how we're seen now. That's how we are perceived. It doesn't matter if you're 2-0 up, you're going to lose anyway.
Well, once Cucurella had put his correct boots on, the advantage was regained, and he was our best player in the first 20 minutes.
Well, as I said, I was going to say, mate, I'm sure if we had the power to on the various websites and what have you to vote for the player of your player of the match for your team, Cucurella would be at the top for us.
Yeah, but
I have to say, the thing with Cucurella that worries me is that this guy
got longer hair than you.
Well, he is the
not everywhere.
The third world sideshow Bob. But the deal with this guy is that was he not aware that he had bowling shoes on?
I think he was wearing deep sea diving boots, and he had seen Stephen Corker and the other centre back who plays up in Cameron Carter-Vickers performed so well with him in the past. He thought he'd give it a go.
But this guy's moving around, doing a bit of warm up training, doing that sort of blip 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 thing with the scissor kicks, and all the sort of star jumps and all the rest. Did it not register that at that point?
I know
he was wearing bowling shoes.
Yeah,
and he should have been in Super Lane World or whatever. It
was really funny. It was really funny the way he was looking at the bench as he was when the first one happened. He said, "Hello, what were you doing for the 40 minutes prior to the game starting?"
His boot manufacturer will be happy, because he posted a photo of them just casually tossed into a bin with Lucozade bottles after the game.
It's on the same level as our group huddles just before we get started, isn't it?
Are you attacking something which to me makes an awful lot of sense?
Yes.
I think that's a fantastic move. To me, I find it inspirational. It's team building. I mean, I feel enthused just by watching it. So God knows how absolutely, excited and pepped up the players are. I mean, I feel absolutely whizzo after I've seen them leaning over and going, yeah, what we've got to do, right?
I didn't realise it was actually possible to radiate sarcasm through the ether.
but it's absolutely shocking. And you've got, not having a dig at him, but it's funny because it's true. But you've got Sonny coming out with this, come on, boys, let's go. Who is listening to that? There might be a 12-year-old, looking in the TV and going, oh, he is fantastic. I'm so happy he is getting all the boys revved up.
Well, the 25,000 South Korean tourists in the stadium yesterday, I bet they got a bit excited by it all.
Well, they got very excited when he was waving to them.
Yeah, and that's why there were no Levy out chants or gigs at Ange yesterday, because predominantly our stadium's half full with travelling tourists.
Yeah, those guys are just very, very happy to be there. That's the relationship. And like I said to you, on the tube the other week, I sent you a picture of a guy, and he got a carrier bag, and you know how much things cost. And I'm like, yeah, it's 300-400 quid in there. And I hate to break it to everybody, but I've never gone to a football match and spent 300-400 quid on merch. I have bought stuff in the past, more when I was younger. But the idea that you see somebody carrying that much kit, it's like seeing somebody with a Cartier bag. You know there probably isn't a cheese roll in there.
Or they've stolen it.
Exactly. And you can't make any snap judgments based upon their colour. That's not going to help you. So you need to step away from that and just park that hurtfulness.
What was in evidence yesterday as well, a lot, and this is going back to points you've raised on many occasions, Chris, about Archie Gray coming on. Where does he go?
Centre back.
Yeah, exactly. Lucas Bergvall, who frankly in 5 minutes did more than probably 3/4 of the rest of the squad did in the entire 90. Yeah. Spraying balls left, right, and centre with a bit of imagination. Yet gets 5 minutes of time or 15 minutes tops, and it's just the same thing. It's same old, rinse, repeat.
So there's always the argument. There's always the argument. If we go persevere with Ange, and we've got no aspiration to do anything this season, and we are on this project, this 3-4 year project.
I thought you were going to say journey for a moment.
Don't stop believing, baby. If we are on this, so if we are on this journey,
I can't do too much of that. We'll get hit by the
infringement people,
copyright infringement people. Because it sounds an awful. It sounds a lot like the boys who are in the room right now, and I'm aware of it. So I just need to keep that.
Trust me, it didn't.
Thank you. Get out.
So why not give these youngsters a chance? Because Timo Werner, he's not going to be there. On the recent weeks, I don't want Basuma anywhere near that club. If he's not a professional footballer, he's selling you fake Okies in Tenerife, isn't he?
Tropical island in the sun.
There. So why not give you Archie Gray a game at central midfield? Why not give Bergvall up front?
I think that's harsh. I got a really nice Tissot fake watch off of Basuma. He puts the yards in.
Up front, why not give this Lancashire some time? So on one hand, we're saying we're buying all these youngsters as I stick around forever, mate. It's all for my future. This is what Postecoglou is telling us. But in the same breath, he doesn't play any of these players. So if he was the one who identified them and they are his picks for the future of this club, why are we not giving him any time now? You can't say one thing and do the other on the...
Well, the truth of that is that there is a guy ahead of all of those players, and his name is Jed Spence.
Yeah, exactly. Why is he not playing? Because Porro's shocking defensively.
He's horrible. And I think, as I said before, I'm not a massive Spence fan, but I am an advocate of trying to do something sensible, something that isn't stupid. But this is Spurs, and we know if we play Pedro Porro, we'll get... The reason they're playing Porro is very straightforward. You could get a wonder goal because you don't know. But around the wonder goal, you're going to get 70 minutes of piss poor defending.
Who got the third Chelsea goal? Was it Enzo Fernandez, the Argentinian midfielder?
Yeah.
So
So
it
did
was.
you see how much space Porro gave him? The whole thing as a defender is you should be making yourself as big and wide as possible to reduce the goal threat. He was so narrow that he was just saying shoot, 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 shoot. Guess what?
And he
He
turned
did,
his
and he
and he
scored.
turned his back on it as well. And he turned
As a-
his back on it. You know,
as a-
you're
So I said
And all
to
this-
somebody I didn't particularly care for last week, I'm giving you the gift of space. Enjoy it. And this is Pedro Porro.
Oh,
But
he was
we
driving
always
us
do
nuts
that-
yesterday.
That pissy tippy tappy thing as well when we're on the edge of the box, and instead of just going direct, we always lose it though. And did you see how many times yesterday Son on the in the left channel? How many times he passed through the opposition as opposed to his own teammates?
He was
We
shocking.
cannot. Well, in the old days, in the good old days, when you could put a ball into Moussa Dembele, who could
Yeah.
control that ball in a telephone box, glide past 3 or 4 players, and you could play at tight angles, or Wanyama. We had or Modric. We had the technically gifted players who could play in little triangles and small circles. These guys can't, and they concede defeat possession of the ball 9 times out of 10. Nobody can do it.
Was that one of those old-fashioned wrought iron red telephone boxes, or one of those
Yeah.
BT things with the open face?
No, definitely the closed door behind you.
Right. Yeah, nice. So he's coping with the smell as much as anything.
Oh yeah.
Confinement and odours.
Yeah. Rolling back the years, I'm getting all emotional.
I knew what's coming.
And then the other thing that really
Again, I have to cut
grates me
that
at
short.
the moment. The other thing that really grates me at the moment. Have you seen
Can't
how many
guess.
times we try and play really tight on the touchline, and you try and little back heels and flicks and things? You're thinking we're never going to beat the opposing fullback.
Which routinely go wrong.
Yeah, they always go wrong.
Right. Have we got anything else to say that's upsetting or egregious to anybody, or have we let it all out?
I would say, controversially, in our last few games, our standout player's probably been Fraser Forster, which I never thought I would say.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate call, and I think it absolutely reflects. I think he's. How should we put this without being totally horrible and taking all the good out of the praise? I think he's a very limited operator, but he's doing exceptionally well at his level. The idea that he's your starting choice goalkeeper is terrifying, but despite that, he's having a good go, and should be commended for it. Absolutely.
I think Solanke yesterday, for quite a long time, worked his socks off. You could see the amount of running he was doing.
First half, yes. Second half,
yeah.
no. Completely changed our style of play.
Yeah, but I don't blame him in the second half either, because I wouldn't have carried on doing it because he wasn't getting supported at all. He was just running into. He was making decent runs and challenging and trying to shut the possession down, but nobody else was going with him. So after a while, you think, well, why should I carry on doing this?
One of the guys at the pub yesterday said to me that his perception of Solanke was that it was very much all about the money, and what he should have done is gone for more of a halfway house, a stepping stone between Bournemouth and Spurs, something in the middle, not quite to Spurs where there's so much ground to be made up. You've got the absence of Kane, you've got the diminishing return on Sonny, and you've got all the other aggravating factors. He needed something which would give him an easier ride, but was there somebody willing to pay Bournemouth a chunk of change for a guy that didn't have a CV that involved his international side, and didn't have a CV which was particularly, you could argue it was threatening to go somewhere, but I think this has just been too big a leap.
Yeah.
And again, I'm damning with faint praise. I don't want to take the good out of the the kind words he's amassing, but I'm struggling to see that he's going to go on and again be a successful Levy punt, which at 65 million quid, kids, is a punt. Because to get what Levy wants is box office, but not pay box office prices. I mean, I think we should have bought Eze. And that group. Oh, I can't remember if it was all of you or one of you sent me a clip of a guy on Facebook. I think he was a Turkish or Cypriot guy or Greek, He's Epos something or whatever, and he's speaking very well about the situation at the club. And he's on that group, one of those groups that I joined on Facebook, because he watches us, and I think we should get him on as a guest for one of the things, because, as I say, he understands what he's talking about. But yeah, this is a very dull situation we're in, because he's not going to turn it around. He's not going to get the solutions he needs in the next few weeks in the January window. And I just hope he doesn't have a sore nose and throat as I do. I think
he could turn it around if we could turn it around if we just do what needs to be done, which is to just get him gone and get somebody who knows how to coach.
With the squad that we've got available to us, we should be doing so much better. And I think there's coaches out there that can manage, can get the best out of people, and could deploy a lot better tactics with those squad players available. Like yesterday, what on earth did he bring off? Well, Johnson had snapped his toenail or nail, but he brings on Timo Werner. Why didn't he bring on Maddison? Made no sense at all.
That sounds nice. I think the deal with Werner is as per the deal with Porro. He's hoping that he gets a wondrous moment from him. But this is like telling people that you know what you're doing in a betting shop, and all you're doing, it used to be my old trick, I'd go and look to see how far the horses had travelled, right? Because there's a little thing in the Racing Post, and you just have to say to yourself, why are they bringing this mid-range horse, on a 500-mile round trip to be in this, grade 2, grade 3 thing? I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a couple of quid each way on that. And this is the idea of telling people you know what you're doing as a gambler, because that's one of your shticks, one of your things you do, and you're not. It doesn't work like that. I know people who professionally get gambled, and there's a bit more to it than that. And it's all about the maths.
Well, when you have Plan A, and you stick rigidly to Plan A, no matter what, and you make excuses for Plan A, and all Plan A is the only thing you can offer, and Plan A isn't working, and it's not going to work, and it's never going to work, but then stubbornly insist that no, that's who we are, mate, and we're going to not change anything, then I'm sorry, you're done. You're done.
Toasterino. El Tostio.
Yes.
My mum always said to me, Actifed was good for a cold, but in your case, I've just seen the last 3 cans of Diet Coke poured down the hatch. Interesting.
Well, I am a great believer in staying in bed. The problem that killed me was going out last night, because I'd been out late the night before. I'd had a fantastic evening, but then going straight into a pub at 4:00 in the afternoon or whatever it was stupid. And you're on the trains. It's like 3.5 hours with all these grotty people breathing over you. So but. Right, that's it, I think, folks. All I can tell you is it's been a pleasure. Keep it Tottenham. Thanks for the subscriptions. Thanks for the likes. They are free of charge. And we hope that you've got something out of this. Good luck and take care.
Nice.
Nice little end note. A nice little punctuation mark at the end there, mate.
I'm 3 cans in. And that's not including the ones I had before.
I've never seen a man drink so much Coke in 50 minutes or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes a change. I suppose it makes a change to sniffing it, I suppose, doesn't it? So,
I couldn't possibly comment, but no, I don't think the first can was full. That might have just been a dreggy one, and then so I certainly put my hands up to 2, but this one's only got about that much missing out of it. Can you see that? No, can't see that. There's no camera on this show. Oh, there we go. Look, it's only got about an inch out of it. So I think I've probably done a can and a bit. Truth be told. What are you up to, gentlemen? Are you going anything exotic with your off podcast activities?
I am in London this evening. Then I'm at home tomorrow. Then I'm in London Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday's the beginning of the weekend.
So you're on the old corporate pop train at the moment, I think.
100%. I'm trying to drink as much of that corporate pop as I possibly can.
I do miss those days when I was in London. When I used to work in London, I do miss those. I must admit.
It always tastes better when somebody's paying for it.
Yeah.
Dreadful people. No self-respect or awareness. I don't know.
Freeloaders, a lot of them, honestly.
Pour that freedom sauce over it, baby.
I'm actually going to be in London tomorrow himself. So
where are you going to be, Tony?
I'm going to be at the Electric Ballroom in Camden.
Oh,
So,
wow. I
yeah.
remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, go to see a group called Helmet. They're American sort of heavy rock sort of band.
No comment. No comment.
Yeah, if you don't know them, you won't know them. But they're really good live. They're
But
absolutely.
the idea
amazing.
that you're going to see a band called Helmet, I've
Yeah.
got no comment.
That's very unusual for you not to have a comment.
Bless you in your travels, and I hope your ears survive. I remember going. I've been to. I can't remember who I saw there. I've got a feeling it might have been somebody like Hanoi Rocks. It was that era, yeah. And during the day, that's fitted out as a shop with t-shirts and stuff in.
Yeah, it's really nice venue actually because it's got a lovely balcony as well. So you could get different views if you wanted to. So if it's too much of a crush going downstairs, you can always pop upstairs. So
have they got rid of the smell of cat urine that used to?
No, that's everywhere, isn't it? Let's face it. Any half decent venue that's the odor of the day, isn't it? Sort of thing.
Yeah, they actually get that in from the guy who owns the Astoria. He buys it in bulk, and then they divvy it up. I remember going to the Astoria, and you always used to have a drink in the George Roby that was in the side street, which was brilliant because it's like central West End, but because it's kind of out of sight, or it was, it was never particularly busy, and you used to get yourself prepared by going for a whiz in the old George Roby before you went into the Astoria, because even the carpet used to do that as you walked in.
I love the Astoria. That was a great venue.
Yeah, it was sensational.
Nice. So that's me for the week. That's it. That's my. I've got a game on Thursday. Doing refereeing, hopefully.
And Chris
depending on the weather.
Chris will be sharing photographs of pieces of steak being passed around on a platter. Yeah,
cooked to perfection. So rare that if you stuck a plaster on it and put it back out in the field, it would move.
So rare. He's only had 14 of them this week. But there are people in council houses eating fewer packets of Monster Munch.
Well, he's doing his bit for the environment, though. He's doing his bit for the environment. The more cows he eats, the less methane gets produced. So it's carbon neutral.
I had to pay for that last one on Saturday night, and it's the first time I had, and it nearly brought tears to my eyes when that bill arrived. I was like, "Fuck that!"
Yeah, a touch of the levies as you got your luncheon vouchers there.
Yeah.
Right. How much?
I don't even do things I enjoy for this long. So it's been wonderful, and we'll speak to you all soon. Good luck. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you later. Cheers.
There we go, motherfuckers.